About March of 2013, Marnie had heard from her sister Sherry that Brian's marriage had broken up. Both of them started plotting for me to go out with him. Martin said, Friend, you have to go out with him. He's such a great Christian guy, and he's really cute. My answer? I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. Besides, I wasn't sure I wanted the hassle of a man. I was making plans to go to grad school, and I'd been so hurt in the past that I pretty much had decided it was safer to keep my heart to myself. The part of that was tough, though, was that even though I had finally found contentment in being alone, I was still lonely. I finally agreed that she and Sherry could try to set that up. Never did I imagine that Brian would be told that I wanted to date him. I would have been mortified. But I guess it's probably a good thing it was presented that way, because within a couple of weeks, I received a phone call.
A year ago, Halloween, I was at my buddy Mike's house, and we were just hanging out. Next thing you know, I got a text from my other buddy Maury, and it says, do you know Sarah Schreiber? And I said, well, yeah, I've heard of her, but I don't know her. I've never met her. And he sent me another text that said, well, she wants to date you. And I said, well, does she know I'm bald and I can't sing? And he said, yeah, I'm pretty sure she knows that. It wasn't too long after that. I kind of considered the idea. It had been 25 years really since I dated, so I really didn't think that dating was, in the cards for me. I certainly didn't know how to go about it. But the more I thought about it, I finally and ended up getting her phone number and calling her. And next thing you know, we did go out on a date, and it turned out really well. After dating for, I don't know, maybe it was a couple months, I stopped by my buddy Mitch's house. I can still remember the smile on Amy's face. I'm just kind of sharing with them how Sarah and I were doing great and really enjoying each other. And Amy's comment was she was just so happy to see me happy. And I hadn't really thought about it like that. But after I left their house, I realized, you know what? I really am.
Brylo knows that the word together is my very favorite word. I think when you have together, you take it for granted. But when you've had it and then lost it, you know the beauty of it.
I had a devotional that I had saved, and I referred back to it. And it was a devotional called Let God Handle It. And so it said, cease striving and know that I am God. And it was from, obviously, Psalm 46:10. And the devotional went on to say, sit down. That's right, my friend, sit down. You've run far enough. You've stood long enough. You've fought. You've pushed. You've manipulated your way for many years. God has finally grabbed your attention, saying, quit. Stop. Let me handle it. Sit there on the hot sands of the desert where you've brought yourself. Look at what lies next to you. It is a well full of fresh water. Soon it will be God's delight to bring that bucket up and refresh your soul. Sit still, stay there, be quiet, cease all the striving, relax, and be contented by that well, and drink deeply, for you are thirstier than you realize. Well, when I look back at that and the sentence that says, soon it will be God's delight to bring that bucket up and refresh your soul, it caused me to give Sarah a nickname. And so, affectionately, I have called her Bucket ever since.
I believe all of you know that really the journeys that both Brian and I have been on have been difficult. And I remember on the very darkest day of my grieving, as I stood and shook my fists at God, I screamed at him, I questioned him, I yelled and said, why? Why did you let this happen to us? In that moment, a very sweet scripture and a very sweet old hymn came to heart and came to mind. Then when Brian began to tell me why he was going to nickname me Bucket. At first I kind of looked at him. Bucket? That doesn't sound very romantic. But when he told me the story of why, my heart melted. And then I became amazed at the way God is so very faithful, because the very same scripture that had sustained Brian through his darkest days was the same scripture that had sustained me. Straight out of Psalm 46. So tonight, we would like to share with you one of our very favorite passages of Scripture. Psalm 46 says, "God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble."
Therefore, we will not fear, though the earth give way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea.
Though its waters roar and foam, and the mountains quake with their surging.
There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy place where the Most High dwells.
God is within her, she will not fall. God will help her at break of day. Nations are in uproar and kingdoms fall. He lifts his voice and the earth melts.
The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress.
Come and see the works of the Lord, the desolations he has brought on the earth.
He makes wars cease to the ends of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear.
He burns the shields with fire.
Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth.
The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. And again we say, Be still and know that I am God.